What's going on? It's your boy Lionel, class of 2009, back with another episode of PV versus everybody. And listen, we're getting straight to it. We're getting straight through it. Hey, the BTA Classic is this weekend, all right? In Baton Rouge, Louisiana. All right, BTA Classic this weekend, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I heard that it's a lot of Panthers who done pay for some tailgate spots. You know what I'm saying? Gonna be eating some food on homecoming. Listen, it's gonna be more than just chicken and turkey on the grill on Saturday. That's all I'm trying to say, right? I think I've heard there's some Jaguar that's also going to be on the grill. But listen, we're gonna talk about that later. But listen, BTA class coming in. But listen, real quick, man, just want to come to you, talk about this 6 in, 8 out. All right, we already played 6 games this season. We got 8 games left in the season, right? Got 8 games left in this season. And so just want to talk about the first 6, though, that we've already played, you know what I'm saying, and get straight to it, you know what I mean? And so first and foremost, if you're not following us over on PV_versus_, everybody, make sure you're following us on both platforms, you know what I'm saying? Follow us on both platforms. But listen, let's get into it, man. Just talk a little bit about where we are at this point in the season, right? Look a little bit about where we have gone, where we've been. And we're just going to get an overall perspective, right, you know, just so we can look at kind of where we are up to this point and kind of where we're going. And obviously, we look at the total overall record, 4-2 on the year, 1-2 in out-of-conference games, 3-0 in SWAC play, as we've been talking about, 1-0 in neutral sites, 1-1 at home, and 2-1 away. And so right now, a total heading to BR. Mr. Martin says, yeah, I know a lot of people on their way to Baton Rouge, so want to come while y'all are on y'all way, while y'all are driving, heading out. Because like I said earlier, right, I heard there's a lot of Panthers to pay for the tailgate food already. And so I think it's going to be a lot of purple gold in the building on tomorrow, man. And so overall, man, the team's sitting at 4-2. And I think, obviously, legitly, the team could look and say, hey, we should at least be 5-1 on the season. When you look at the game against UTRGV, and I think that team has shown that they are a challenge. Even in the Southland Conference, they played some good games, right? Fell to Southeastern Louisiana, was able to beat Houston Christian, I think 27-7, right? Held them to 7 points. And so that's a team that's going to have a chance, even in the Southland Conference, but it's a team that we should have beat. We had an opportunity to beat them. And so I know, though, listen, that name is going to be on the schedule for 3 more times over the next 4 years. We got to get that get back multiple times. And I think there's going to be a good back and forth. We get a chance to play them over the next few seasons. But legitimately, I think the team could say we should have been 5-1. But you're not. You're 4-2 right now with 3 SWAC conference wins and 1 out-of-conference wins. Now, the whole conversation has been around, well, how pretty are the wins? How ugly are the wins? You know, is the team lucking into wins? Is the team finding a way to win? All the conversation around that, you have to make a determination for yourself. The reality is, though, that the numbers say that we're 4-2 and we're 3-0 in SWAC play. And this weekend, we have an opportunity. If you beat Southern, you have an opportunity to go 4-0 and really put yourself in a position of where you essentially almost have the SWAC West, you know, rounded up. You have Texas Southern that's still there, depending on what happened on their next 4 games, which is very interesting. Texas Southern, Prairie View has the same schedule. That's why I said before, Labor Day Classic winner has the leg up this year. Believe the winner of that game is going to win the SWAC West. I said that earlier, and now that's exactly what it's looking like. And so we have the same schedule this year, just different teams down the stretch, essentially. Both of us still play the Alabama schools, and I think Texas Southern still has Alcorn and Southern left. So SWAC play. So, you know, they still have a couple games left. We still have a couple games left, but we're in the driver's seat. But as far as everyone else, Alcorn, Grambling, we're already multiple games up on both of those schools. If we beat Southern, you talk about being essentially 4 games up on Southern. So they're completely out of there, unless you're talking about having to drop the rest of your games the rest of the season. So essentially, that's going to be a Prairie View and Texas Southern thing the rest of the way if we take care of Southern this weekend. It will literally just be us and Texas Southern throughout the next couple weeks. And so we're in great position, prime position to get the job done. And hey, like N.O. Joe says, right? Many people believe Prairie View is not that good. But the reality is, guess what? People are going to have a chance to prove whether we're not that good or not, starting with Southern this weekend. They get a chance to show whether we're good or whether we're not good. And we just keep going from there. And so it's just building one on top of another. Now, we look at what the offense is, and this is one of the reasons that people are believing and that looking at Prairie View as not being that good, right, is because of the offensive side of things, not defensively. The defense, we're going to look at that, look at those numbers. The defense has been playing lights out. Offensively is where people look and say, well, what has this offense done for me lately? So averaging a total of 21.3 points per game, 367.5 yards per game. That's sixth in the SWAC. Points per game sitting fifth in the SWAC. Yards per play, 5.6. 16 total touchdowns, 12 rushing and 4 passing. So when you look at that touchdown total, that's the number that really is the issue there. It's those converting those drives, which we've seen. We've been going on long drives, being able to move the ball up and down the field. The issue has been getting into the box, as Coach Jackson calls it. And so we've had 2 weeks now. I know we had the bye week to go back and look at some things to figure out, well, what can we do to not stall out on drives, to not have drives end to where we're not putting points on the board. Typically in the first game of the season, which is Texas Southern game, and I would say the last game, Alcorn, I think those are the two biggest games that you look and say you left some points on the board. It really was penalties that really pushed us out of scoring range majority of the times. And so we haven't had an issue moving the ball on teams. It hasn't been an issue if we can't run the ball. It really hasn't even been an issue we can't pass the ball. The issue is simply that we haven't been able to make the play that's there. And when in terms of the passing game, the real issue in the passing game so far has been the drops. And I should have looked up that number. But I don't have it in front of me now, right? But I'm sure right now we have a lot of drops on the year from the receivers, and we have a multiple drops per game. And that has been an issue because we've had multiple touchdowns that have been dropped, which would have changed all these numbers right here. And so we talk about what the offense is. Overall, you still have to feel good about what the offense is because, again, the issue hasn't been us moving the ball. The issue hasn't been the offensive line hasn't opened up holes, hasn't given the quarterbacks time to throw. The issue hasn't been that the receivers aren't open. The real issue has been penalties, 1, and then 2, receivers just literally not doing what their job is, which is catching the ball. So if you can figure those two things out from a point standpoint, you're in a really good position. Because when we look at the defensive side of things, you can see that this defense is playing lights out, and they're only going to continue to play better and better as the year goes on. And even when we look at just the competition in general, you look at the competition, you probably only look at, you got Alabama State and Alabama A&M that have offenses that are putting points on the board. The other 3 games you have against offenses that are at the bottom side of the SWAC. And so already when you look at that, you have multiple games that you're going to have where the defense essentially is going to be have the leg up in the majority of those games. And so that's going to be real interesting to look at as we continue throughout this year. So those are the 2 issues I would say offensively. Now looking at rush stats, passing stats, again, averaging 191 rushing yards per game, 191.3, 5.2 yards to carry. Again, the offensive line is doing their job. They're opening up holes, right? Chase Bingman, leading rusher with almost 400 yards on the year. Again, he was out during the Alcorn game. You got Lamaje McDowell following it up. He's right under 200 yards a game. And then you have both Tevin Carter and Cam Peters. That's 3 and 4 in the rushing with a little bit over 150 yards per game. Of course, we look at Tevin Carter. He has 5 touchdowns on the year. And I believe Lamaje McDowell has 3 touchdowns on the year. So you're looking at, those are your top 4 rushers, right? The 2 running backs and the quarterbacks, because again, in this offensive scheme, definitely the quarterback, we're using them as far to, hey, listen, you got to consider them in the run fit on defense. And so rushing, we're being able to put the ball on the ground and being able to move the ball consistently, 191 yards on the ground. Passing, 179 yards per game. You look at a couple games and that number is definitely a little lower than that 179. But again, the issue there, as I've stated already in the show, issue hasn't been that we aren't able to move the ball through the air. The issue mainly has been, again, penalties and, again, individuals not catching the ball, right? 57.7% completion percentage. That should be over 60%. It really should be over 60%, but that's on nobody but us. Everything is on us. No team has done anything that has literally taken anything away from us. The thing that has taken things away from us has been us, has been our offensive line holding, has been our receivers holding on big run plays. Is us. Everything is us. And so if we can get to the drawing board, and like Coach Jackson said, we try to keep the basics so you don't have to get back to it. But if we can pay attention to those small details, some of these games that are close and nail biters are going to turn into the 2-score games that really they should be based on the numbers. Because when you look at the numbers of the Alcorn game, you look at how the flow of the game as well too. We were a way better team than Alcorn. We allowed them to stay in the game because of what we were not efficient on offense. But listen, they weren't able to move the ball at all whatsoever. They had a flea flicker. They had that last play in the fourth quarter, essentially. That's all they did through the air. Obviously, on the ground, under 100 yards rushing, both Sewell and the second back, Reggie, right? 20 carries for them, between them both, not over 60 yards between both of them. I mean, they were shut down on offense. Couldn't do nothing all game. But when you allow teams to stay in it and you don't put your foot on their neck, you don't make that play. Now, obviously, the big play in that second quarter was the block punt that was called back. That really should have been a touchdown after everything was reviewed. Should have went up 17-3 at that point. That was brought back. But again, one thing that this team has shown, man, is they can stay focused, stay in the moment, not allow things to kill them, not allow things to make a game that now could be a possible loss turn into a loss because you lost focus. So that's one thing I love about the team so far, man. This team definitely got some grit, and they're definitely pushing it through. So when you talk about on the defensive side of thing, 22.5 points a game overall. 22.5 points a game overall, right? And now in SWAC play, in the 3 games in the SWAC, 15.3 points a game. So again, I want you to understand, and this is the thing where I'm trying to help people to understand that this defense has really been playing lights out. Really been playing lights out. And listen, if we recalibrate, because a lot of these numbers, you have to realize a lot of the numbers, even when we talk about some of these teams that people talking about, even in the comment section, there's a lot of D2 games in there. There's a lot of D2 games in there that people are using to build their stats up. Now, we ain't played our D2 game yet. We ain't played our NAIA game yet to just pad our stats. But when we have our past statting game, our numbers are going to look a lot different too. And so these numbers are based on all FCS and FBS competition up to this point right now. And so 22.5 points a game, that's including the Rice game, that's including the FBS game. Even when you look at the rushing stats, people look at the rushing stats and automatically say, oh, PB can't stop the run. But you got to realize that's against FBS Rice, who all they do is run the ball. I mean, literally ran the ball almost 60 times in that game. And so when you talk about a team, that's going to run the ball like that, again, that's going to skew the stats a lot. And so you have to keep that in mind too, right? So 22.5 points a game, but only 15.3 in the SWAC, in the 3 games in the SWAC so far, 332 yards per game. In the SWAC, look, the 3 games in the SWAC, 267.7. We're the only team who in the SWAC play so far is averaging under 300 yards on defense. We're giving up under 300 yards on defense. The next closest team is like 75 yards higher, right, in the 300s. And so I'm trying to show you that this defense, even though it's not exactly where it needs to be, right, there's a lot of plays we've left on the field for sure this season so far. I don't think yet we played a complete game. We're getting closer to that complete game on defense, but still not there yet. But I think we're building up to that for sure. And again, 5.2 yards per play per game, and that's overall, right? Didn't have the numbers in the SWAC, but again, if you're only giving up 267 yards per game, you're going to win a lot of games. If you only allow teams to get 267 yards, you're going to win a lot of games. Okay, so I'm trying to help you understand that. Listen. Sacks right now, 10 total sacks, 5 interceptions. And I think that's one thing we were worried about coming into the season. We talk about, having that 3 down. But listen, we've been able to still be able to get to the quarterback when we've desired to. And I think that's the difference, that this team, there's moments in time, depending on the scheme, depending on who we play, where we say, hey, our job right now is not necessarily to run out of our lanes. It's to keep the quarterback in the pocket and make him beat us in the air. And in a lot of these SWAC games, we're going to see the same mentality that we don't believe you can beat us through the air. And we're going to make you stand in the pocket. We're going to make you throw the ball downfield. When you look at the Alcorn game again, I think Jalen Tote was like 11 for 26 or something like that, right? I mean, that's not a great percentage. That's under 50%. Under 50%. And the biggest play of that game was the flea flicker for 70 yards. So listen, if you gotta revert to the flea flicker, we doing what we need to do. Okay, so I'm not worried about it. 5 interceptions so far, and again had a couple drops there. Should be more. 4 forced fumbles and 4 fumble recoveries. And so again, the defense is doing its job. Total yards, 164 total yards rushing, 168 passing. That's 4.4 yards of rushing. This is overall stats. Again, touchdown and interception ratio, only 7 passing touchdowns on the year so far and 5 interceptions. I mean, that's a great ratio right there. And so we're doing a great job. Again, if we are talking about just in the SWAC, right, we're giving up less than 130 yards in the rushing game, right? And I believe we're less than 130 yards in the passing game, 140 in the passing game, less than 130 in the rushing game, right? So again, this is overall numbers, but in the SWAC, those numbers are even tighter. And right now, the defense is sitting number 14 overall in passing in the FCS, number 24 overall defense in the FCS, right? And so again, definitely keep that in mind. Red zone stats. This I think is a big one that you also need to pay attention to. Right now, we only have given up 15 total red zone opportunities. That's the whole season. That's 6 games. That's 2.5 red zone opportunities per game that we've allowed. That's not a lot. We also have given up the least red zone touchdowns in the whole conference with only 9 touchdowns. Third down percentage, 32.9% overall. In the SWAC, I think we're at 31.5%, right? 1 out of every 3 conversions is not converted. And then also first downs overall, only giving up 19.5 first downs. In the SWAC, only 17 first downs. And so again, this team is playing lights out on defense. And I still think there's another level we can get to, right, Mr. Malone? I don't even think we're yet played the best game on defense yet. I still think that best is yet to come, as they say, right? The best is yet to come. So you talk about defensively, the team is prime, right? The team is set up, right? To really be able to put us in a position to win. And the reality is right now, I mean, when you look at just the overall stats, when you look at and calibrate based on the games, based on the teams have played, PV definitely has the best defense right now in the SWAC. It just is what it is, right? Have the best defense in the SWAC. So now, listen, let's keep it going, right? Now we talk about special teams. This is where you see a lot of kind of good and a lot of bad, right? You know what I'm saying? You have to see it there. Listen, you have to calibrate for a Tuskegee game, obviously, right? Play Tuskegee. You also have to calibrate for the fact that you played against a lot of teams that don't have any defenses, right? Southern right now is the worst defense in the SWAC. Both Alabama State, both Jackson have played them already, right? You look at Bethune-Cookman, one of the worst defenses in the SWAC, right? Look at Alabama A&M, one of the worst defense in the SWAC. You got to calibrate for the thing. You look at playing D2 Miles. These are things that have to be considered when you look at numbers. It doesn't mean that Alabama State doesn't have a good offense, but it does mean that some of the numbers are going to be skewed by the fact that, listen, you play games against teams that really ain't equal competition. So, we do have to keep those things in mind when we're really looking at the numbers and when we're looking at the games at the end of the day, right? So it is what it is, right? So it's not about how many East teams you played. The East right now has some of the worst defenses in the conference. That's just the reality of the situation. They have some of the worst defenses in the conference. Okay, so that's just the reality of the situation. All right, so now punting. Look at the special teams. This is another thing that we gotta think about, right? And this is some good, some bad. So punting wise, I think the punting unit, the punting team has been amazing, been awesome. Listen, 37.4, that's the net, right? We've had 2 punts over 50 yards, right? But the net average 37.4, which is sitting second in the SWAC. And the reason that's big, right, because we really aren't allowing a lot of return yards at all, right? When you look at the return yards, it's very negligible. I think it would like 1 return yard or something like that, right? Then we have 9 fair catches out of 30 punts, 9 fair catches, and 9 punts inside the 20. And multiple of those punts is actually inside the 5. We may have placed like 3 punts inside the 5 so far this year. And so punting, we've been just doing an excellent job. I mean, we've been knocking out apart in the punt game, right? The kicking game, right, is where the issue is coming up, right? Kickoffs, right, 31.5. And obviously we did a lot of short kicks, a lot of pop-ups, right, a lot of squib kicks. Now, this past game against Alcorn, we had the youngster, the freshman, kicking off for us, and we did put the ball deep, right? We did put the ball deep a few times. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how we move going in this Southern game and moving forward. And then field goals, only 5 out of 8. Now, not great, middle of the pack right now. And I think you want to get a couple of those field goals back. One miss was in the Texas Southern game, right? So one miss in the Northwestern game. So some of those misses were in the position where it can kind of also extend the lead. So it definitely hurts. And so hopefully we can get that wrapped up right and do a little better there. But another big issue I think that we have to address and figure things out, and I know we've had some individuals out. I know like Kellen Stewart was, started the year off as the kick returner, and I think he was doing an excellent job. Think he was doing a great job there. We had a couple kickoffs called back because of holding, but I think he has some speed that he can break one big and long if he gets a chance. And so hopefully we get him back after this bye week. But right now, kickoff returns only 16.7 yards in kickoff returns. Again, that's the bottom of the conference. 40 is the long though, right? So even though we average 16.7, we do have a long of 40 yards. And again, that was Kellen Stewart with that big 40-yard return. So if we can get him back, especially toward the end of the year, maybe we can see something big there. Game against Southern coming up is going to be interesting because Southern didn't put the ball in the end zone a lot, putting the ball in about the 5-yard line, right? Somewhere between the 5 and the 10 as far as kickoffs. So that's going to give us a chance to get some kickoffs returned this game. And so we can see how we do as far as field position, as far as that's concerned. Then another big one is, only averaging 1.1 yard in a punt return game, right, with a long of 10 yards. And that was by Andre Dennis, number 10 on the team, wide receiver. So we got to be able to, we're forcing teams to punt a lot, but we're not getting a lot of field position on punt returns. And again, kudos, shouts out to the teams we play so far in their punt teams because they've been keeping the ball positioned where it doesn't give us a chance really to return well. But, that this is going to be something that's going to be interesting for us to see if we can tweak and if we can increase that punt return average. And again, even if we can creep up from that 1.1 to say 5 yards, hey, 10 would be great, right? That's an extra first down that you don't got to make. But even we can say, hey, 5 yards, right? Now we're in a position where we can kind of help change some field position here and there. And so I think that'll be really good. And so that's where we are so far, man. Hey, listen, I can't wait to the Bama State PV game either. But right now it's not about the Bama State and PV game. Right now it's about the BTA Classic, Prairie View, and Southern at Southern Homecoming. That's really what it's about right now. You know what I'm saying? We got to put them paws on the Polka Dot Panthers this weekend. You know what I mean? So hey, look, you gotta look at the numbers of the teams, right? And you gotta look at the teams, right? That's the reality. We got to look at the teams at the end of the day, and that's what needs to be considered. We're not just talking in a vacuum. We got to talk based on the teams that teams have played. That's the reality of the situation. Salute to the chat. D says, yeah, the punter's been great. He's been great in the year. Putting the ball where we need to put it. And so Adam Atwell has been doing a great job, in that arena. So he's just been doing great. And I think Aiden Webb had one as well that he put inside the 20. So shouts out to him as well. So, all right, PV has not played D2 school. Yeah, listen, when we get our D2 game, our NAIA game, we can talk even numbers because when we don't allow them to have over 100 yards in period, then now that's going to recalibrate our numbers, and now we're going to be what we're going to be at then, right? Now when we score however many points we score that game, where we going to be at then as far as total points per game. So, these things, we not – that's why you got to kind of wait and let things play out. And you got to look at the games each in and of themselves. You got to look at the games in and of themselves. You got to look at the game in the Florida game, Southern against Bethune. You got to look at the Florida game against Jackson State, Alabama State. That's what you got to look and figure out. And the reality is a lot of people haven't watched PV or PV's defense play, so they don't really understand what's going on. But like I say, the Grambling game, the Texas Southern game, the Alcorn game, these SWAC games, the offenses didn't really didn't do anything. They didn't do much of anything. Let's be clear. They were really locked down the whole game. Hey, just like that. Let me see if I still got this graphic, right? Y'all know what happened last game, right? Y'all know what happened last game with Mr. Sewell. You know what I'm saying? He was on lock. You know what I mean? Like it just is what it is, right? it just is what it is. Listen, this is what the PV defense did. You know what I'm saying? The SWAC leading rusher. And I hear people say, oh, they only gave him 9 rushes. He wasn't doing nothing. They wasn't moving the ball on the ground. You got again, you got to look at the Floyd game. How can I keep handing the ball off when, hey, that was a 3 and out? Okay, we got a first down. We didn't move the ball. We lost yards on this play. Now we got to throw the ball. We in 3rd and long. Like, y'all got to look at the flow of the actual game and how it happened. He got 9 rushing attempts. Reggie Davis got 11 rushing attempts. Total, they had like around 60 yards. Let me look it up so I can give y'all the accurate number, right? So I can tell y'all exactly what it was. Then I won't be just talking in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Let's see. All right, so let me correct it. Reggie Davis, 11 attempts for 41 yards, 3.7 yard average. All right. He's the best rusher on the day. He gained 43 yards and only lost 2 yards, right? So it's not like he gained 60 and then had one that was lost. No, he 41 net, 3.7 yard average. Ja'Cory Sewell, 9 attempts, 30 yards gained, 1 yard loss for a 29 yard net. All right, 3.2 yard average. Like, y'all wasn't moving the ball on the ground. It just is what it is, right? Yeah, I wasn't moving the ball on the ground. Andre Washington had 2 carries for 9 yards. That's a 4.5 yard average. He helped increase y'all average right there, right? Total, altogether, 94 yards rushing. And that includes Jacoby Matthews, who came in for 1 series at quarterback, number 17. He had 1 big run, right? He had the biggest run of the day. Well, it was a 22-yarder. That was the biggest run of the day, the 22 yards. So, I mean, what you want to do, right? You couldn't really run the ball at all. It's 94 yards rushing. Did a better job in the air, 176 yard pass. But like I say, the long was 71, and that was on the flea flicker. And then he had like a 35-yard pass on that broken play that if we'd have just made the tackle, the game would have been over. But, yeah, you got out of there, got the ball out. So you got to think, up to that point, you had less than 150 yards passing. So, again, man, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Let's be real. Come on, man. We got to judge based on reality, not based on what we feel like. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that the team can go out here and you can lose a game. That's not the point. But the point is to act like this defense ain't locking people down. Like, let's be serious now. The defense is locking people down. What you're trying to say is that you don't think our offense can score enough. Say that. Let's just focus on that. But let's just don't be out here like the defense ain't doing their job. Defense doing their job. But when we get the return game up, I think it's going to change a lot. So I'm really interested to see what it looks like this game against Southern. PV still has some work to do. They have played better each week. And I think that's the one thing we see, right? This team has continued to play better and better and better. And it's interesting. All these teams with all this continuity, they ain't looking so good, are they? Right? But the team with the 70-plus transfers, we're doing our thing, right? And those 70-plus transfers are playing better and better, playing more cohesive and more cohesive each and every week. You know what I'm saying? Each and every week. If you're giving up close to over 500 yards to any conference team, you can't say you have a good defense. Hey, listen, man, it is what it is. Hey, True Seeker. This is the facts, right? This is the facts. Most of the crowd will leave after halftime. You know what I'm saying? I think more like 31-10, I think would be a little more what I think it would be, right? I think it'd be a little bit bigger score than that. Yeah, that's the issue. The penalties is what really kills our momentum for sure. I'm with you, D Black. It's really the penalties, man. But yeah, overall, the team is doing well, man. I think we're at a good place, halfway through the season. Again, we look at the total yards, rushing, 164 yards, and in the SWAC, again, we're giving up even less than that. Matter of fact, let me go also look up the SWAC stats for rushing and passing, because I didn't include that on here. But let me give you the conference-only stats as well, so that in those 3 games you can see, because the team is getting better and better and better and better. Yeah, the block punt touchdown was hurting. He said, I'm bragging about beating Alcorn. Thank you, Kayla. I'm bragging about being 3-0. How about that, right? I'm bragging about that. How about that? How about that? All right. You know what I'm saying? He said, bragging about proving everybody wrong. People don't believe in PV. I'm hearing people say, Jess, you got it locked in. Yeah, listen, I saw an article today by HBCU Sports talking about JSU possibly running some back for a game they ain't even gonna play in this year. How they gonna run a Celebration Bowl back? They ain't gonna be in the Celebration Bowl. Help me to understand. How you run a game back, you ain't even in the game. That's all I'm trying to say. And now I've heard people out here say, hey, any given game. I've heard people out here who say this. They say any given game, a team could get beat. Any given game, a team could turn the ball over right, and next thing you know, they lose a game. But out their same mouth, they will say, well, we know who's going to win the SWAC championship. Well, how do we know that if it's any given game, right? That's why I listen. I just sit back and I just watch my team go through. Yes, there's a PV bus going to Baton Rouge. Hey, man, listen, PV pulling up. Hey, we pulling up this weekend. We pulling up this weekend, man. We can smell a winner. All right. We smell a winner right now. And we're gonna go handle business in Baton Rouge. You know what I mean? Yeah, we call them box score. Hey, box score podcasters, man. They're just box score podcasters. That's why, listen, this is one thing I try to do. I try to go back and watch these games now. You know what I'm saying? I may not be able to watch them the day of, but I definitely go back and watch the game. So I just ain't just talking. Right? I'm talking because I've seen the game. I can give my real assessment based on actually watching the game. Sometimes watching multiple plays back, et cetera, et cetera. I want people to win 10 games so they can be a ranked team for the SWAC championship game. Yeah, that would be nice. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, do what you do, man, but watch my shoot. First of all, shouts out to Quinn the GOAT for becoming a YouTube member. You know what I'm saying? And last week, if you didn't see, right, we put the coaches show for out. Well, you might not have saw if you wasn't a member. You remember, right? We went to the coaches show. We had it recorded it live so you guys could catch it live. It's every Thursday again at 7:00. So again, that was a privilege that you got. If you remember, you're able to kind of see the live and kind of catch everything early on. You know what I mean? And so that's some memberships, some benefits of membership. This dude wants some views. I don't know who this dude is, but I guess that might be me. Right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course. Listen, ain't nothing getting views like talking about how Prairie View been handling business. All right, you know what I'm saying? That's what brings the views. Now listen, let me look at the conference only stats real quick so I can give you that real quick, and then we're gonna get out your hair. Now, defensively, listen, this is what I try to say, right? Again, 164 overall in SWAC conference play so far, only giving up 111 yards on the ground. I'm gonna say that again. Only giving up 111 yards on the ground. Now, again, we've left plays on the field. We've let some runs go longer than they should have, right? We missed some initial tackles. So this is not trying to say that this defense has arrived. It hasn't arrived to where I believe they want to be and where they think they could be. It hasn't arrived yet. So let's be clear. We're not trying to say that the defense is what the defense is going to be. But you can definitely clearly see game in and game out that defensively, this team has gotten better and better and better and better. Special teams has continued to improve. Not where we need to be yet, but we've seen the improvement, right? I think offensively, we see that plays are there. We just got to make the plays. So, again, 111 yards on the ground in SWAC conference play. And passing-wise, and that's first in the conference, by the way. And then we talk about passing, sitting third in the conference right now, giving up 156 yards. 156 yards right now in conference play, right? So, again, 156 yards in the air, 111 yards on the ground. Only team with under 300 yards total defense in conference play. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, True Seeker. Listen, his name True Seeker for a reason. If you telling me you don't see that this team is improving like week in and week out, I know you capping, bro. Because I know you see the improvement. So even though, again, is there more in the orange that you want to squeeze? That definitely is. But if you can't tell me that you haven't seen improvement week in and week out. And so we're getting to the point to where the defense is starting to become a shutdown defense. If the offense starts to make plays, and the reality is this may not be a team that goes and beats people 45-14. They may not be what this team is, right? But this may be a team that beats teams 24-10, 21-13. That just may be the team. That just may be what this team is. A team that grinds it out, a team that, hey, puts the ball on the ground, that moves the ball, that keeps you from scoring, keeps you from making big plays, and grinds out win. That just may be what the team is, right? We don't allow a lot of points, but we score enough to win games, right? That may be what the team is. But I think the team has an opportunity to actually show a little bit more on the offensive side of things. And I think it's right there for the taking. I don't think it's a talent issue. I don't think it's a scheme issue. I think it's literally us just making the plays that's already there. It's already there. It's just already there. I like this PV hype. When y'all crash, it's going to be even more satisfying. Unlike everybody else, I want y'all to win every week. Hey, listen. You have to wait a long time for that, okay? Because ain't gonna happen no time soon. Matter of fact, that's probably like 5 years out, right? You probably gotta wait about 5 years before that happens. So it is what it is. Say, look who PV played in conference. Who have you played in conference, sir? Tell me who you played in conference. You played one team. You played one team in conference. Matter of fact, I think you beaten one team that got a winning record in conference. Your D2 game wasn't even against a winning team. It wasn't even against a good D2 team. Like what conversation we having right now? You ain't played nobody. Ain't but two teams over there. That's it. Ain't but two teams over there. Now everybody hyping up Bethune-Cookman because they put a lot of points on the board. But up until this last game against Southern, they ain't stopped nobody. Yes. It said no style points needed, just dub. That's what I'm saying. A dub is a dub. Listen, let me tell you something. If we win every other game this year, the next 8 games, if we win our next 8 games by 1 point, it doesn't matter. I don't care. We would be champions. Celebration Bowl champions. It just is what it is. So I don't care if they win by 1 or win by 31. The goal is to win. Coach Jackson said that was his goal, is he coming to win. And he's been doing that. He didn't say he's going to win by this amount. He didn't say it's going to look this way. He said we're going to win. And that's what we've been doing. So it is what it is. Said SWAC don't respect defense no more. Yeah. It is what it is. Improved from last year, improvement every week. Give credit. Not excuses for the division. Hey, listen, all these division apologists now, right? Got all these division apologists. But listen, man, with that said, man, we appreciate all y'all for jumping on and jumping in. Just want to kind of give y'all a recap, a summarization of where we at this year so far with Prairie View football team. Listen, we're in a great position. I think this Southern game is going to show the next level of group. And I'll say this. You can clearly see that the coaching has been A1. Let's just be clear. The coach has been A1. And we can see in-game adjustments. You've seen in-game adjustments yourself. You've seen in the second half the way we've adjusted. And listen, on the defense side of things, we haven't given up over a touchdown in any game except the Rice game. Not more than one touchdown in any second half of this season so far. Because the adjustments have been very clear and on point and immediate. So you're telling me we got 2 weeks that we had a chance to go back to the drawing board, really kind of put some things together and get ourselves ready for this game? That's why I say I'm really ready to see this game, because not just defensively, but I think offensively, we're now going to see the offense take another leap forward. And it's gonna be what it was, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and we already know how this is gonna end. We already know it's gonna end. You know what I mean? So again, with that said, man, hey, listen, if y'all ain't got y'all SWAC championship 2025 SWAC championship merch yet, hey, listen, you need to go and get it. You can go and head over to PV versus everybody and go and grab it right now, because it might be sold out by the time we actually get there when you're trying to come in and try to get it. Yeah, no. You got to be a believer, all right? Are you a believer or you're an unbeliever? Yeah, listen. So go and get your stuff right now, because y'all already know where we headed and y'all already know where we going.
Atlanta, win. Atlanta is the land of the purple and gold. Oh, the land of the purple and gold. Better get there.
Hey, and with that said, man,